Hello all, this is Anupama Zavargi here and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I am going to cover the remaining 5 lessons from Admiral William McRaven's book, Make Your Bed. I've already finished 2 videos on this one. So if you haven't watched those, I would request you to watch those and then check out this last video. So we are looking at the life lessons that William McRaven learned in his Navy SEAL training, which have been useful to him all his life. So these are great lessons, something different, because we are not used to knowing more about what kind of training the Navy SEALs have to go through to become a Navy SEAL, and how those lessons are helped him in his life, and they definitely are interesting lessons that will help in our lives as well. So now let's go to the 6th chapter. The chapter is that you must dare greatly. So, during the Navy SEAL training, they were required to complete a lot of combat courses. 2 times a week, they had these combat courses where they had to consist of 25 obstacles, including climbing a wall and all kinds of stuff they had to do. And in that, there was an exercise where there was a rope tied to a high tower at one end and another something low at the other end, and they had to traverse this rope. So for all these kind of trainings, they used to have calculate the time taken by the trainee to complete that task and all. And the record for this activity was set a long time back, and nobody in the recent times was able to break that record. So every time the instructor would tell about that record and how it was not broken. It had not been broken for a long time. So generally what people did was they actually climbed the tower, and then to come down the rope, they used to have the rope on top, and with their hands they used to slowly come down the rope. But this used to take longer, and nobody was able to break that record. Every week they used to try. So once his another trainee that was training with McRaven, what he did was he changed the way of coming down. So what he did was he actually climbed up and did it head first. So he slid down the rope with his head first, which was a more dangerous thing. So the way he was doing it was actually a lot more risky than the usual way of slowly coming down with their hands. But he was able to do it in a record time and actually break that old record as well. So initially William McRaven was also scared of doing it that way. But then eventually in the next few weeks, once he saw that person doing it this way, he actually also tried it and was able to achieve it in record time. So he says, in life, there are times when you know that some ways are more dangerous, but you have to take that calculated risk. So if you are afraid of, failure, of being shamed, of being ashamed, like, if you fail, what will other people say? And things like that, then you're never ready to try out new things or try out new ways of doing things. So he says that there are moments in life where you have to take this calculated risk and get over this fear of failure and show that daring in order to achieve something in life. Because we all go through this thing, where we are afraid that what happens if I fail, what will other people say, and I think you're the worst case scenarios. But you have to take that risk sometime and start doing things. Start making that effort at least of thinking differently, or not being afraid and taking that next step. So of doing something that has not been done before. Otherwise, we tend to take that same path all the time, and we are very careful that we should not fail. So we don't even dare to take some chances, take some. And though these are not like blind chances, these are chances that we need to take calculated risk, as consider everything and at least give it a try. So he says that this is something that he learned, and he used this technique of daring greatly, showing that courage sometimes in when circumstances are not favorable. to actually move ahead in life. So a lot of his when he dealt with hostage situations and stuff, he's given examples how this helped him, of daring greatly and taking that decision in that moment of trying something different, and not bowing down to fear, is what he says has helped him in his life. Now the next lesson is a stand up to the bullies. So during their training, they had to swim very long distances, obviously because they were training as Navy SEALs. So they sometimes they had to swim in a part of the sea that was infested with white sharks. So the trainers used to tell them that nobody has been actually eaten by a shark for a long time, so don't be that scared. And if a shark starts circling you when you're swimming, you actually have to make sure that you don't show any fear. And if it comes too close, then you have to not try to run away, and actually you have to hold on, and you have to punch punch it on the snout so that it goes away and doesn't eat you. So this was a thing that was told to them when they had to swim in the water infested with white sharks. So here he says, that we see sharks all the time in our lives, maybe not the real ones, but he compares, all the bullies that we see, you may have encountered some bullies in your school or college days, or maybe even in your workplace, even in the family. We always find these kind of bullies who, take advantage of somebody else's fear. So like a white shark will eat you if it knows that you are afraid of it. So it's the same way, if people know that you are afraid of them or afraid of their bullying, they will take advantage of that. So he says that you have to, in these kind of moments, you have to hold your ground. You have to actually show a lot of courage at that moment, and not show that other person that you are afraid, because that is what they feed on. Your fear is what feeds, your fear is what the sharks in your lives or the bullies in your life feed on. So you have to hold your ground and not show that. So this is a very important lesson for because we do meet a lot of people who try to intimidate us, or who try to force their opinions on us. So we have, at these times, we have to stand our ground and remember this, that it is your fear that they are feeding on. So you cannot show that you are afraid. You may be afraid, but slowly you have to gather that courage and your self-confidence to actually stand up to them. And that's how that bullying stops. So this is another tip that he has given us, which can be used in life. Then another thing is, the next chapter is give the best of yourself, or you can say that you have to rise to the occasion. So during the training, they had to when they were training to how to go and attack an enemy ship. So they had to actually go into the sea, deep into the sea, where the actually enemy's ship was during training, and they had to actually go to the keel of that ship, just with the help of a compass and a depth gauge. So only the two things that they were given. And when you start swimming, when you're close to the harbor, you can see the lights and all, at least. But as you go deeper and deeper, especially underneath that enemy ship, it is just pitch dark. You cannot see anything. And since it's under the ship, you can actually hear the engines, the noise of the engines, which is very deafening at that point, because you're underneath that ship. So you can get very disoriented. It's completely dark. There is no light there. But all the SEALs knew that this is the point. This is like the darkest moment, was the moment they realized that they have actually reached where they are supposed to. So you had to hold on at that moment when it seemed like the darkest moment. And at that time, you had to really give the best of yourself. You have to find the courage, you have to find the physical strength to continue at that point when it seemed the most dark. So even in life, when there are times in life when we are on this journey to go from where we are to where we want to be. You definitely have these really dark moments where you want to give up. You don't see the light as we say, at the end of the tunnel. But this is the moment that you need to gather your strength and actually hold on at that point, so that you can actually do what you're supposed to do. So this is the lesson, that you should never give up, and if you want to change the world, he says, you have to give the best of yourself in the darkest of moments. So that is the lesson that he got from this exercise that they had to undergo, where they had to attack, sort of train to attack an enemy ship from the bottom. Now, the next chapter is about giving hope. This is one of my favorite chapters. So, ninth week of their SEAL training was known as Hell Week, because though for that week the cadets were not supposed to sleep at all. They had lots of difficult exercises to do. And one exercise was that they had to be submerged in mud, wet mud, like you can say a swampy area up to their necks, and it in freezing cold, and it was pitch dark, and they had to be in that mud overnight. So and the instructors, they had to face constant harassment from the instructors, because they, as I've already mentioned in the last video also, the instructors wanted these people to become really tough. So they were physically and verbally constantly harassing all the cadets. So the ones who are like weak, they would always quit. Even now the instructors would tell them, when they were buried in the swampy part, that if 5 of you quit, then everybody gets to come out of that swampy area. So it was so hard, it was so freezing, pitch dark everywhere, and everybody was feeling like there's no way they could continue in that part, because they were like shivering, and just no hope at that point. But suddenly what happened is that one trainee started singing, not in a very melodious voice, but he just started singing. Then one person started singing, another person then joined him, a third person joined him, and slowly they were feeling so much of they had all lost hope, you can say, that they would survive this, or they should continue with this kind of training. But that one person with his singing gave hope to everybody else, and they everybody was like, oh, if this person can sing in this situation, then maybe I can also find the courage, find the strength, that last bit of strength that I have, and remain in this mud for some more time. So slowly, they all joined into the singing. They all have found some hope, and the freezing cold somehow, felt a little less when they all joined in, and they all gave each other this kind of hope. So he says that just one person is enough sometimes to, give hope to a larger number of people. So maybe it's in your home, it's in your office, with your colleagues, with your friends. Maybe you can be that beacon of hope when everything around you seems to be really dark and swampy, or where people want to give up. So you can be that beacon of hope. And he's given examples also, people like Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela. These people have really been that beacon of hope for a lot of people. When they saw them achieve something, or the way they dealt with these things, other people got hope that they can also overcome challenges. So sometimes we always think, what can I do, what can one person do? But still, there is so much more that we can do by ourselves than we think possible. So this is one thing, we can give hope to others around us. We can also be hopeful and spread that hope with others, so that it helps everybody. So never think that what can just one person do. So this is a lesson, a nice lesson that we can use in our lives immediately. And because if somebody can sing neck deep, when they're neck deep in mud, then we can also think, this is, yes, I can also overcome this obstacle. It doesn't seem to be that dark or that difficult when somebody shows us this kind of hope. Now the last chapter in the book is never quit. So this during their SEAL training, when they start training, they are shown a bell, and they are told that if you ring that bell thrice, then it is assumed that you are quitting. So they know the instructors used to always tell them, if you think this is too difficult, or once you ring that bell, you don't have to get up early, you don't have to swim so much, you don't have to go through such a rigorous training. You can just go if you ring that bell, quit and go. But the instructors used to tell them that you then will regret this all your life, that you were not able to, you did not complete that. So he says, in life also, there are definitely moments in your life's journey that you feel that you cannot go ahead. You want to ring that bell and quit at that point, because that it definitely seems like an easier option at that time. But he says that once you overcome that moment, and when you feel like quitting, and you actually find the courage to move ahead, that is the time that you actually achieve that goal and stuff like that. So it's very easy to quit on the journey to achieving your dreams, because sometimes, yes, things do become difficult, but that is the time you have to gather your inner strength, and once you do that, you will never regret. That is what the whole lesson is, that there are moments in your life that you feel like quitting is definitely an easier option, but in the long run it is not, because you always regret that you did not pursue that a dream or that goal later in life. So you're never happy when you quit that dream or goal. So that's the lesson that we learn from this Navy SEAL training, that there are moments when it really becomes difficult to continue, but those are the times when you actually need to gather that strength, that hope, and actually be on that journey. So this is a nice little book which has got nice lessons, and especially I love the examples in this, because they give an insight into what kind of training the Navy SEALs and probably all the other army men have to go through in life so it gives us a newfound respect for all these other people who have to go through such rigorous training, and then obviously even their life is that much harder. For us they do it, for us to protect our country. These people go through so much of hardships for us, so it just brings newfound respect for all the people who defend our country. And if you like the video, press the like button, share it with somebody who could find these lessons useful, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next week in another video. Thank you.